welcome back. Welcome back. We have another episode. I have my beautiful twin sister here with me today. Guys, give her a round of applause. A silent round of applause because I know I can't hear you guys. But listen, I know you guys saw the title of this. This is about us graduating college. So recently, my sister graduated college. She graduated college, and I want to tell her congratulations. I mean, I've already told her congratulations. We went to the whole graduation and all that good stuff. It was wonderful.
Yes, it was.
Check out my YouTube channel, I Can Candace. I vlog the entire graduation process there. So you will see it again. It's I Can Candace. That's my YouTube channel. That's my vlog YouTube channel. But if you want to introduce yourself, Catherine, this is the very first episode you've been in. So tell the people about you.
Hello, people. It is I, Catherine, Candace's twin. Okay. Yes. And what else I want to tell you guys? Nothing. Hi.
Yeah. So I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. We took longer than normal to graduate college, and it was a struggle for us. In the beginning. I graduated in 2021, and of course Catherine graduated just recently, and it took us a while. It really took us there. Tell them, you want to tell them what year we were supposed to graduate and all that?
Yes. So originally, if we had stayed true to the track that we were originally on, we would have graduated with our bachelor's degree in 2015.
Yeah.
So that's if we had just kept on going.
Just straight and narrow.
Yeah. So the 4 years, we would have just been done in 2015. However, I don't know if I want to say God had other plans.
I was literally thinking that. I was going to say that.
But there were other plans at play other than our own. Mm-hmm. So,
here we are.
So yeah, so here we are later. I got my degree 10 years after I was originally supposed to get it. Supposed to. I use that word loosely.
Yes.
But I did already have a degree. I did already get my associate's degree that nobody ever talks about.
Yes,
but I did finish part of college already. I just needed to finish the other half. Yes. Yeah. The bachelor's degree, which is the one that everyone's always, I guess they consider more important is the bachelor's degree. But I already had my associate's degree on time from 2013, and then
yeah. And same. So
same for Ken as well.
We graduated with our bachelor's degree so much later. So why do you think that was? Why do you think we graduated so late?
There was many things at play. There was finances. I didn't really understand what I was doing because, at the time I'm like 20, 21, when I decided to just put it on hold. I was like, where am I going with this? I didn't feel super inclined to any profession. I found a lot of things interesting, but I wouldn't say that I was specifically drawn to anything. And then, of course, your home life, there's other influences. You're distracted. You're being pulled here, there, and everywhere. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I was. Yeah, there was a lot of distractions, and also I know one of the main things is I didn't understand why I was getting the degree. Yeah. I was like, why am I in school? This is hard. Mm-hmm. This is taking up too much time. Why am I doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Let me just stop, because there was no purpose in getting it. I didn't know. I feel like every other person knew what they were going to do with their degree. They're going to be a lawyer, doctor, blah, blah, blah.
Delusional thinking that everyone knew what they were doing. Because at the time, we were like 20, 21 when I had decided to stop it. And I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm really just wasting my time.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and just work. So I was working just full time. The whole time.
And it made sense to just work because at least we're getting money. At least something was happening from working. But for the degree, it just didn't seem. There didn't seem to be a purpose. It's not like I was getting money when I was studying the degree, and I didn't know what I was going to do with the degree. So I was like, whatever. So like, even when it comes to your degree choice, how did you pick the degree that you were going to get? How did you choose your major?
Yeah, I really just happened upon it. I happened upon it as in my mother suggested it. I originally wanted to be in the medical field, just because I knew for sure the medical field was a stable field. There was always going to be a job opening, but I was not inclined to anything medicine. I did not like sick people.
Bro.
Not personally wise. I'm just saying, just as a general statement. I wouldn't want to be in an environment with sick people or diseases or anything of that nature. And even though I would say that I did want to help people and do something productive, I wasn't in that realm. I wasn't gonna be. Wasn't my area.
So you picked your major because of mom.
She suggested it at first, yes.
And you were just like...
And I was like, okay, it sounds interesting.
So one day mom was just talking and you were like, okay, I think I'll do this because...
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to... Because I had to... At this point, I was like, I need to solidify my major. Because I knew for sure I wasn't going to do any medical...
Yeah, but why did you settle with criminal justice?
Because of the classes. I really liked my classes and what I was learning.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, this is good.
So with me, it was, I guess, somewhat similar, but mom didn't persuade me. It was like I was going through, whether medical, psychology, blah blah blah. I did like the psychology classes, but for some reason I wasn't inclined for it to get a psychology degree. The pull wasn't there.
Yeah,
I liked it to help people, but I didn't want to be around sick people either.
Yeah.
I don't know. The medical field wasn't calling me. It wasn't. Can this come?
Yeah.
And I ended up on a communications degree because I was like, okay, here's what happened. I was like, at one point I was like kind of freaking out because I didn't know which major to choose. I think I even had I was majoring in business at one point, and I started to take the classes. Bro, I took it was an economic class, Catherine.
I remember I went in that class with you just to see how it was. It was a large class. Yeah. It was a very large, like, stadium.
Yeah, it was very big at UCF.
Yeah.
And I did not like that class. It may be multiple things.
She didn't.
It was maybe because one of the things I think is because it was a lot of students there, so it's not like the teacher could have focused in.
Yeah, it wasn't intimate enough.
It wasn't intimate enough, but also whatever he was talking about, I just did not care for. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
You said it was economics?
Yeah, I believe it was economics.
I remember I took an economics class at Valencia for my associate's degree. And I remember not liking it, but I mean, I was okay with it, but I remember not really, I felt like I needed some more help in that area. I feel like I could have understood it if I was being taught in a more intimate setting.
Yeah, like, okay, like, but whatever they were teaching me, I thought that I needed it, of course. I'm like, this is something that I feel like I could benefit from. But man, like, it was just not hitting me how it should have in order to pass the class. So I ended up failing that class. I withdrew from the class. I was like, oh heck no.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized I didn't want to be a business major. So I went to the drawing board. I was like, oh my gosh, which degree what major should I get? And then I just started, I was like, okay, you know what? Forget trying to pick a degree. Let me see the classes that I like.
Yeah.
So I started looking at the classes, and I realized most of the classes I was interested in were all communications.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I end up choosing the communications major.
Interesting, because I feel like, I think more or less that's how my decision became permanent as well, because I was looking at my classes. I mean, I had already chosen the major, but then once I had looked at the classes, I'm like, okay, this is really nice. I like most of these.
and like for the communications degree, some of the classes had to do with like understanding family, the family. The family setup and all that. I don't know why.
Nice.
I don't know why I found it interesting. I was like, oh, I think this would be fun.
But do you remember what you learned in that class?
I don't even know. But I mean,
you have to think a little.
Yeah, I have to think. And then there
okay.
were classes about like how humans communicate. There was even like race classes about you know,
I had
was
to
it
take
like
a
race
class
theory or something
on
like that
too. Yeah. I had a class like that too as well. It's like racial injustice, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a class like that as well.
And
it was
I'm trying to
interesting.
think of what other classes there were.
It's been years. Listen, by this time next year, will I remember the classes I took? No.
I gotta look back on it. But yeah, so that's how I choose my major.
Yeah.
And that's how you chose yours. So, so why? So the struggles in graduating, and finishing, getting that degree for us. So, I didn't have purpose. Was one thing, a reason why I wasn't getting to where finishing the degree, but also a lot of things were distracting. I was like drinking a lot at one point, but not necessarily drinking. Wait. Let me even clarify.
That's subjective.
Wait, let me clarify. I wasn't drinking every day, and I was definitely not drinking in the house. It was only when I went out with my friends.
Yeah,
so it was like a Friday or Saturday. It was like Friday, Saturday, and I would just drink. I'd come home, and that was it. I never was like inclined to drink at home. It was never like a thing.
Because I'm like, we drank the same. And I'm like, I didn't really drink like that. So I'm like, okay, drinking a lot.
Well, yeah.
But it was like whenever we went out, usually we go out on like Fridays or Saturdays.
And then we drink. And I think it affected me. It impacted me more than I thought it did, looking back on it, because yes, like I would drink one day, let's say Friday or Saturday, whatever. We'll drink one day. But I feel like there was like a heaviness throughout the week just from drinking that one time. And because that heaviness carried through the week, it was hard for me to study. It was a little bit more difficult to like get my mind focused on schoolwork because of that. But I didn't know at the time. Now looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I drank that one time on Friday, so that's why I didn't pass the test on Wednesday.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think many people are set up like that. Some people could drink on Friday and take a test on Monday and they'll be fine.
Yeah, everyone's
or whatever.
body is different.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a whole other session, but you know, not everything is for everybody. Like some people can get away with doing certain things and you cannot get away with doing that. Like some people can drink today and tomorrow morning they wake up and they can get through the day.
Yeah. Me,
that's not for me.
I was not
that's not something I can do. So everybody is different. Some people can smoke weed and they get up, they can think higher, blah, blah, blah. That's not for me.
Bro, it's not for me either. It's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a struggle. And also just hanging around people that were also not in college. Because most of our friends were not in college. So they didn't really have that mindset, or we didn't have anyone to kind of just like be with us, like, oh guys,
we weren't on the same trajectory,
like
on the same path,
like, oh guys, there's a test tomorrow, we should, let's all study together. It wasn't really like that, because the only people that were in college was like me and Catherine, and then the rest of our friends were just working, and they were living their life. They were drinking on the weekends
or partying, whenever,
whatever.
So it's like, whoever we could. A lot of our friends, or we didn't really have a lot of friends, to be honest. We always had like very few friends. It was always like 2 or 3 really close friends, and that was it. We didn't have like a plethora of friends. And then on top of that, it was the financial part as well. So for school, I was like, okay, for 2 years I had a scholarship. And then I didn't have a scholarship anymore. So I'm like, how am I going to
have to pay out of pocket?
Yeah. So now I have to pay out of pocket. I'm like, okay, how am I going to pay for this degree that I don't even know what I'm going to do with?
Yeah. So even that didn't even make any sense. We don't know what we're going to do with it. And now we have to pay for
now we have to pay out of pocket. It's like,
why am I here again? So it made sense to not be in school anymore.
Exactly.
It made sense to just drop the classes.
Exactly. Until I could figure out what it was. And then by then, now you're working full time. And
so this gets us into the next portion. So we're working full time. So what was the trigger for you to go back to school? I'm gonna start with me though. The trigger to go back to school was, so I honestly, the job I was working at, it was fine. I didn't mind it, but I think after a while, I was kind of like, okay, I got to do something else. And but I still wasn't inclined to fully go back to school until the Lord. I promise you guys, I'm not making this up. I heard the Lord, not in an audible voice, but I felt it in my heart to go back to school, and I was like, God, but why? I don't even know why I'm supposed to get what's this degree for? Why am I getting this degree? I don't understand. But he's like, go back to school. And because I trust the Lord, I built a relationship with God. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what you say. But I was still kind of questioning. I'm like, but why? But because the Lord beckoned me to go back to school, I then now had a reason to be there. So even though I still didn't know why I would be getting the degree, at least I had a reason to being there, which is God told me to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas before it was just like, well, why am I going? No one's told me to. Yeah. And I don't even know why I'm getting this degree. So what the heck?
Yeah.
But this time it was God told me to. So that was my reason. And I felt, because at this point, because I built a relationship with God, I was definitely not drinking. There was no friends around that could sway me either which way. So my feet was firmly planted, and God even helped me to pay for my classes, because I thought the classes were going to be extremely expensive. And if you see my other video, I talk about how I was paying out of school tuition for my classes when I went back, when God told me to, I realized that. And so, of course, I'm thinking I'm going to pay $5,000 for each class. Turns out, because
I'm an in-state student.
Yeah, now I'm an in-state student. I'm only paying like $500, $600 for one class. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So, the Lord helped me to pay for the classes. And and my first semester going back, I got all A's. Well, it should have been all A's. There's one teacher. You A's. Know who you are. Gave me a B+. But I went full force into it, and so that's the reason why that's how I ended up going back to school. The Lord put that in my heart. But what about you? Like, what made you go back?
Okay, so for me, there's many times I had started and stopped throughout the years with my classes. But, I ended up looking at my transcript, and I'm like, okay, not the official transcript, but the transcript. And I saw that, okay, I just have this amount of classes left. I'd come up with a plan, what I was going to do, where I felt like I was being led to go. And I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and hunker down and just get this degree. Let me finish out this degree. So here we are today.
Bam. So going back to school the very last time, I realized there's certain things that I had to change with my method in studying and getting the work done. There's things that had to change in order to get the grade that I wanted to get. I remember I realized that I had to do every single assignment, because if I don't do that, if I miss one assignment, it was going to be like a domino effect to where I miss other assignments, and I get, for sure, the grade I don't want.
For sure.
So I realized that I had to do every single assignment, whether I get a good grade or not.
Yeah.
Just so that my score wouldn't drop below a certain grade. Yeah.
For sure. So that's the key, guys. Whenever you're doing anything, any classwork, you have to do all of them. Even if it's going to be a bad grade. That's why you always wonder, okay, how did my grade get so low? It's because you missed an assignment.
Yeah, that zero really brings you down.
Yeah, that thing will take you to the underworld.
Yeah, but if you did the assignment and maybe you got like a 50, because of course you didn't know what you were doing, you got a 50, your grade will still be up there, or it wouldn't drop
as
that
low as if it was, if it were zero. It'll drop, but it won't drop to the pits of the earth.
Yeah. For real. So that's
one trick I hope everyone does. Turn in every assignment, even if it's not done well.
Even if
every
you don't know
assignment.
what you're talking about, you're writing an essay.
Many times I don't know what I'm talking about.
Even if you're writing an essay and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm typing, just type it.
Listen, that's a whole story. I remember I was talking to, I don't know if you guys know Packback, but when I started going back to school, they have this new thing called Packback. Not all professors use it, but those special professors love Packback. So Packback is where you ask like open-ended questions. You're coming up with these open-ended questions and you're answering these open-ended questions. And I'm just like, I don't have a question. So to answer a question that I don't have, it's very hard. Okay. Very difficult. I remember Candace, I was so upset trying to answer. And it's this last semester too. This Packback assignment is every Sunday and it's worth 100 points. 100, guys. That means this is not an assignment that you can afford to miss because your grade will plummet to the pits of hell. Okay. So every other assignment, because every Sunday he has like 4 assignments due for us. And like the other 3 assignments are quizzes and they're worth like 20 points, 30 points. But this Packback assignment is worth 100 points and you better not miss it. And on top of asking an open-ended question that you don't have and answering an open-ended question that you don't have, you also have to answer or comment on two other people's open-ended questions that you don't care about.
Bruh.
So my brain was struggling every Sunday to talk about something that I didn't want to talk about. Okay. It was very difficult.
So how did you get past that?
Candace saw me one time. Candace saw me one time. I'm typing. I'm like a crazy person because I'm trying to like, according to my calculations, 1 + 1 = 2. You know, it was like something silly like that. But I was just like, I was like, okay, I forgot the name of this class. I'm not going to, well, no, I remember the name of the class. I'm just not going to put it out there because, hi, professor. But I was struggling. I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, because I'm not a person that doesn't like to make sense. I like to make sense. So whatever I do, the thing has to make sense in order for me to feel whole. So of course I don't want to write foolishness. I'm really trying to write a very intelligent
sensible essay
paper.
Yeah.
Or not, it's not even a paper. It
Paragraph.
was and you have to write over a certain amount of words. So even if it was 100 words about something you don't care about is very difficult to do. So it was very hard for me. And Candace, after I wrote this Packback assignment, I was like, Candace, I'm over here stressing. I had to go over to Candace. I'm like, Candace, read this thing for me. Read it. What does it say? Like, how does it sound like an intelligent person? Does it sound like I got some sense? Like, would you accept this?
I remember I read it. So I read it and I'm like, okay, let me see what Catherine's all like freaking out about. I'm reading them. Okay. I was like, this sounded pretty good. Were you shocked when I said that it sounded good?
Yeah, I was shocked because, I naturally make sense. But, when you just like the assignment in itself was just foolishness to me.
Yeah,
because you're typing every stuff. Sunday I'm more or less saying the same thing.
Okay,
so it's like, okay, this is dumb.
So this is a thing when it comes to your assignments and just writing. Just write what is in your mind. Even if you don't care about it. Would you say that?
That's inevitably what I did.
Yeah. Just wrote,
but it was still very frustrating because it didn't make any sense to me.
And it didn't make any sense exactly, but it worked. It worked, and that's one thing you were able to implement is
just
pushing
get the
forward,
assignment done.
getting the assignment done. Yeah.
I was just very irritated that Sunday. I was like, because usually, I do it, not saying it's no problem, but I do it more or less without anybody knowing the struggles I'm going through. You know, I'll just do it really quick. But that Sunday, I'm like, I'm tired of this BS.
Yeah, and actually, that reminds me of when I had something to write. It's something similar to Packback. I don't even know what Packback is. I've never done Packback.
Yeah, I think
that's definitely a newer thing.
Yeah, it's a newer thing, I believe. Yeah.
So there was an assignment I had to do where I had my teacher wanted us to write like 100 words or something to respond to whether or not we think which type of fiction is better. So there's two types of fiction. And remember, fiction is like fake literature, right? Which type of fiction is better, realistic fiction or fantasy fiction? And he wanted us to write our response and again, which one we think is better.
Yeah, your opinion.
Our opinion. And oh my God, I didn't care about this at all. When I said I did not care, I wasn't gonna. I was gonna skip that assignment.
Yeah.
I was gonna skip it.
Many times I had that same thought.
Like, why is it asking me if I think realistic fiction is better than fake what is it? Realistic fiction is better than fantasy fiction. And I'm like, they're both fake. They're both fake. What? Well,
fiction is fiction.
Fiction is fiction, right? So, bro. So I typed up some stuff. I was like, because apparently, did y'all know this? That apparently there is some beef in the literature world between people that do realistic fiction and fantasy fiction. I don't believe I'm saying the proper terms for it, but there is beef between that community in the literature world. So he wanted us to put our opinion into it, and I was just like, I don't give a dang, you know.
To be honest, I would have loved to answer that versus my pack back questions. Because I had to make up the question. And remember, I don't have a question to make up. I don't have any questions to ask.
But you know, in my response, I said that I basically said I didn't care. I was like, I don't think this should be an argument because they're both fake.
No argument to be had here.
Yeah, I said that in my response.
Oh, what'd you get for that assignment?
I got full points.
Okay. Because it was like an opinion thing.
It was an opinion,
okay.
Yeah. But man, I almost didn't do it. Almost.
No, it really gets to that point. You're so frustrated. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you asking me here?
Yeah.
It's like, but they're really, and to be honest, I think in the end it is a good thing because it forces you to think.
Yeah.
It forces you to come up with something out of nothing.
Is there anything else that you learned while finishing school?
Anything else I learned while finishing school?
Or anything that you think will help those that are struggling to finish?
For anyone that's struggling to finish, what I would say is you don't have to rush yourself. I remember when I first tried to go back to school, I tried to be on the same speed that I left school with. So when I first started college, I was taking 4 classes each semester, which is considered a full-time student. So anything less than 4 courses each semester, you're not considered a full-time student. So I had built up that stamina to do 4 classes every semester. So that's what I left off on. Now, when I came back, I had the same mentality. Oh yeah, I'm going to do 4 classes each semester. But I didn't have those muscles churning still. I had to build that back up. So I would say that when you go back or you start taking classes again, or even when you're just starting to take classes, I would suggest that you just do 1, maybe 2 at a time, and then build up that momentum to take on more classes.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely do it for sure. You can definitely do more classes, and also I would say it depends on the subject that you're doing. I would say maybe if you were doing something in medicine or something that requires a lot like heavy duty studying, I would say maybe take less classes if possible. I'm just trying to think of all the other majors. I don't know how they're set up because I'm thinking of like nursing. I don't know if they're set up quite the same as other majors, but long story short, just, take it easy. Even if fall semester, you do 1 class, summer semester, you do 1 class, spring semester, you do 1 class.
It's okay to go at your own speed.
Don't try to go really fast trying to make up for lost time. There's no point in doing that. So just take it one step at a time.
Take it easy. And it's okay. I feel like when you get to a certain age, you want to rush things because you feel like you're behind. And And I'm here to tell you it's okay to take it slow.
Yeah.
We're here to tell you it's okay to take it slow.
Yes.
If you're going back to college in your 30s, late 20s, 30s, even 40s, 50s, whatever age you know.
Yeah.
It's okay to take it slow.
Yeah.
And I would also say, because I know some people that are like a lot older that wants to go back to college, but they're scared of
the stigma maybe of their age.
And like they're the only older person in the class, so they feel some type of way. And I understand that, and I feel like I would feel some type of way too. But when you have a purpose and you want to get things done, just go. Just go, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. No one's gonna remember. No one's gonna remember.
No.
Even if they have something to say, they can say what they want to say. Because if you're wanting to graduate, go and do it. Doesn't matter what age you are.
I wholeheartedly, with my chest, I agree. Because I would say that I fell victim to that thought process as well. I'm thinking my age. I remember when I was starting and stopping, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting older. I'm getting older, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, all those thoughts in itself hold you
trying
back.
to hinder you.
Yeah, those thoughts are really anchors. They're really anchors.
At the end of the day, there is no age limit to college. If you're 100-year-old and you want to go to college, you can.
Yeah.
So
anybody that wants to do anything, I would even say people that, let's say you're a mom and you already started your family, you have kids and you're trying to take care of them, but you really want to do whatever. You could even want to become a doctor. You've decided, okay, this is the field that I want to go in. I would say go for it. Like, you 45-year-old mom and you want to go back, you better go. You better go.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time. And that's one thing I definitely love about my wonderful country.
Bro, even, it didn't even dawn on me. Oh my God, my mom, our mom graduated college in Jamaica. She did all that, but when she came to America, she decided to go back to college, and she was in her late 40s.
Yeah,
she was in her late 40s at a community college, bro, taking classes just like the other youngsters. And my mom didn't trip about that at all.
She's not watching you. She's not watching you. She worried about herself.
Mom did not trip about being in those classes with those youngsters. And mom was like, I'm gonna get this degree.
Yeah, she was like, my mom.
Bro, not once did I hear mom complain about being older getting the degree. Mom was just like, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, she, like, for my mom,
and I think also because she also had the confidence that she could do it because she already did it in Jamaica.
Yeah.
She already graduated in Jamaica.
And I would say, I want to add to that as well. My mom really loves
school.
Yeah. School, learning. She loves that stuff. So anything that requires her to learn more or higher her education, she'll go after that. Now, her real love is teaching, so I think that's where she'll be. But she really wanted another degree. I don't even know why she decided to go back to school. I don't think she really even discussed that with us. I'm thinking about it.
Well, could she have done teaching in the States if she didn't go back to school?
Oh, I feel like yeah. Okay, so I think, because I was wondering what she used that degree for. So I think it originally stemmed from her wanting to teach. So she, the degree doesn't transfer equally over here. So you would have to, even though she got her bachelor's degree in Jamaica, that doesn't translate to a bachelor's degree in the States. So she had to take some more.
I think some credits.
Yeah. No, that's where I'm going with this. So some credits did carry over, but it wasn't equivalent. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a bachelor's degree here, bachelor's degree there. No, that's not how it was. So she had to take some more classes, and that's why she ended up going back to school and getting taking some classes.
Yeah, so mom went to the community college, Valencia, and then she went to UCF right after. Oh my God, mom's a
Charge
That's
on.
Amazing. Charge on. UCF nights. So now that we have graduated college, I went into teaching for a little while, and I taught in the public school system. And when I was there, I was a little frustrated because I feel like the public school system was kind of failing the kids, which I already knew before. But this time, because I'm
On the other
on
side.
the other end, you know, as a teacher, I'm really understanding certain things. I remember one thing in particular that I didn't like is that for me as a teacher, if I had many students that failed my class, it would affect my pay for the next year. That I did not like, because I believe I tried so hard as a teacher to teach them with the knowledge I knew, and the fact that if a student fails, that affects my pay. That should not be so.
Yeah.
If the student fails, the student just fails, you know, and they need to stay back and take the class again.
Yeah.
But every single teacher knew that they didn't want to fail their kids. It just didn't make sense, because it would drop my pay. And inflation is happening, and you want my pay to be dropped, or I won't get a pay raise for the next year. Like, no.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like the students had a disservice. We're doing the students a disservice by pushing them forward. But even if they did fail my class, they were being pushed on to the next grade anyways, which I thought was ridiculous, because there was a student in my class that didn't even know how to read. And this is 6th grade. I'm like, how did you get all the way to 6th grade and do not know how to read? So so the whole system to me was doing this kid a disservice. So I know you do substitute teaching every now and then. What is your perspective of the public school system?
Yeah, it's the same. And I've spoken to other substitutes as well. And I spoke to this one lady. She used to she was a teacher in the past. She's a retired teacher in another state. And she said specifically the Florida school system is horrible. And I did see it firsthand. I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to, I think I was subbing for, I want to say this was 2nd grade. And the kid, there's this boy, I wanted to help him with this assignment. He did not know one word on the paper, not one word. And it was a simple book, like, I am Sam. Sam jumps over the boat. You know, it was a simple book like that. And he knew not one word on the page, not one. And I thought that was so odd. You know, I was like, you don't know anything at all. There was like other kids in the class, I would say they knew how to read more. But he specifically did not know how to read at all. Now, I believe his parents were Haitian. So their first language is not English. So I don't think that
his first language was also not English?
I'm trying to figure out if this kid also had a twin.
Okay.
I remember he had a twin.
Because I was going to say, if his first language is not English, that's probably the reason why he can't read.
I'm trying to think now.
Or he's having difficulties reading.
I'm trying to think now. It was him and another girl. Okay, let's say, I can't remember now because it's been some months. But yeah, okay, let's say his first language was not English. Okay. So I thought that was very odd. And they were just like, I don't know what the teacher was teaching him, because I think it was actually at the end of last school year, I was helping these kids. And I remember thinking, okay, then what did you learn this whole school year? Like, what was your teacher? I remember they didn't have a teacher. It was like a vacancy.
What grade is this?
This was 2nd grade.
Okay.
It was like a vacancy, because a lot of teachers, they leave. Like, they're just like, you're not paying me enough. You don't care about me.
That was probably the reason why?
Yeah, like he wasn't able to be helped along properly.
Yeah.
No one was able to sit there or see that, okay, he needs an intensive, you know. And even if they saw that, they didn't have the school, I'm assuming, did not have the funds or the resources.
Was this one of those
to allow him to have one-on-one?
It's one of those rougher schools?
Yeah, and it was in a bad area as well.
What I realized also is that the schools that are in worse off areas, the students definitely struggle more.
For sure.
Like, I'm telling you, those kids are learning nothing.
Nothing.
Because I remember even when I was teaching last year, it was very hard to teach the kids because a lot of them were rambunctious, and I felt like I needed a second person in the classroom.
Yeah, for sure.
I needed someone to discipline the kids while I teach them.
Yeah.
Because it was hard for me to discipline and teach at the same time. Yeah. And that's another reason why I believe the school system is failing them, because I'm like, I'm not equipped. I can't help them. I can't teach them when they're being chaotic in the classroom. Yeah. I need another person in there. But a lot of there's a lack of teachers. Like you said, there was a vacancy for your second grade class, you know, so there's a lack of teachers and the kids aren't being taught, and I truly feel bad for them.
Yeah. And I feel like the change definitely comes from higher up. It would have to be a change from the higher people, and then it trickles down to everybody else. For one of my classes, I don't remember what grade it was, but I think it was like fourth. Yeah, I want to say it was fourth or fifth grade. And I remember, so they have designated, it's slides, but it's like designated,
slides, like slideshows to help teach them.
Yeah, it's like everybody in this grade goes through these the same slides, the same curriculum.
Material, yeah.
Yes, exactly, curriculum. So I remember they were teaching these kids something on math, because you know I'm more math inclined than reading, and I remember there's this problem they had the kids working on. They're like, okay, this is how you do it, blah blah blah. Pick your answer, A, B, C, or D. And I did the problem. I knew how to do it's an easy problem for me. I did the problem. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I'm looking at the problem. I was like, and so I asked the teacher for this this class specifically, they were getting a new teacher. So they had another, staff member come in to teach the kids. So she had taught them.
You said the problem didn't make any sense. What do you mean?
The math equation did not make any sense.
Okay,
to me.
So it felt like it was hard for the kids.
Yeah, no. The thing is, I asked for explanation. I asked the lady that taught them, because she did one slide with them, and she's like, okay, do this one and figure out the answer. And I'm like, okay, let me help. I'm walking around the class helping the kids, and I'm doing the problem. I'm like, the answer is not up there. So I go to her on the side. I was like, okay, I don't find the answer on here. Can you show me how to get? She didn't know. She acting, bro. The whole time she's acting. She's like, this is how you do it, and that's it. That's the answer. And I'm like, that's not the answer. And you could tell that she know that's not the answer. But she had to be so fakely confident, or not fakely confident. She had to be so confident in being right that I'm just like, that problem made no sense. Like, you know, so I'm like, okay, and this wasn't the first time this happened to me. I'm like,
so
these people. What I'm trying to say is that the people that make these curriculum, the curriculum for the students, it's almost like they've never been in school, or they don't know anything about schooling.
So when I was teaching, and we also had a curriculum like that, like slides to go through with the kids, and I remember I'm just like, what? Like, who made this? Why would they do it like this?
I feel like the people that need to, and I feel like there's somebody high up, they're just patting themselves on the back. Like, yes, I did that. You just paid me $250,000 to make up a curriculum that I really don't even know anything about. And I'm just happy. And yes, give me my accolades and my awards and whatever. Meanwhile, these kids are failing because you don't know what you're doing.
Bruh. And especially if you're a first year teacher, and you are also trying to learn the content before teaching the kids, and you see this slide and you're just like, what the heck?
He's like, that makes zero sense. Even the way that they teach the kids to do math now, because I've been to enough schools now to realize that the way that they teach the kids how to do math, it's so odd to me. Like, the kids don't, not to no mean to really compare, but in Jamaica, when we used to go to the school there, we had to recite our times table, like up from the 1 times table to 12 times table. And this was something that we had to know, like, you know, so we recite these things. These kids have no idea what that is. And, you know, I'm sure that the school system has failed me as well in more ways than.
So I don't think it's every school that's failing the students, but definitely the rougher areas, these kids are not learning anything. I just feel so bad, because of course the rougher areas are predominantly black students, or even Hispanic students,
and brown kids.
And they're not learning anything, and and some of them, they want to learn. Some of the kids want to learn, but the lack of structure in the classroom.
You're fending off the rambunctious kids. You're one person. Yeah, there's students that want to learn and they'll love to learn what you're teaching them, but you're too busy tending to these kids that have no type of behavior. They're not being taught at home how to stay quiet and obedient, and then they come here and they get 10 times worse because they know that you can't do anything to them, and they're just going to pass anyway. So why would they need to follow any type of protocol?
And also,
I mean, it makes sense.
And also from the teacher's perspective, because when I was a first year teacher last year, it was difficult for me because not only am I trying to discipline the kids, but I'm also trying to learn the content, and I'm trying to learn how they want me, how the school wants me to teach the kids.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that really irritated me, is because I wasn't taught how they wanted me. How do you guys want me to relay this message to the kids? I mean, I could do it my way, but I'm not entirely too sure if this is the correct way.
Yeah, because in order for the kids to pass their FAST test, they would have had to learn it the way that the state wanted them to learn it. So you can teach the information to them in your own way. You can teach them the information in your own way, but they're not going to pass the FAST test if you teach it your way. You have to teach it the way that the state wanted them to learn, so that they pass the FAST test.
And that was so difficult.
The way that they want the kids to learn it really doesn't make any sense.
Yes, and that was difficult for me to wrap my head around, like, how am I supposed to teach these kids?
Yeah.
And
so it's
and
like
even
first you're teaching yourself,
and
then you have to teach them.
And even the slideshows, because some of the slideshows did not make any sense to me. And I'm just like, sometimes I didn't even understand what message what am I supposed to learn?
Exactly. And you just have to think, this is a person, the slideshows remind you of a person that writes an essay and did not proofread it.
Bro, they definitely did not.
No proofreading done. They're just like, okay, let me just slap some stuff on the page. This should make sense, but you didn't go over it to make sure it's cohesive. Like, all this stuff makes sense. You did not, because if you did, you would have caught those. And they should triple, quadruple check the slideshows with different people, making sure that this stuff actually makes sense, and when it's being taught, people can convey the message appropriately, and the kids can actually understand and learn the stuff. No, they had no type of protocol.
They didn't care.
They didn't. So that's one thing I would say that's happening in the school system now in Florida.
And
I don't know for how long this has been going on.
For a long time, because when I was in public school, I feel like I wasn't learning much too, because we were going to rougher schools as well. I think
when I got to like maybe high school, I learned more.
Yeah, I probably learned more in high school, but definitely in middle school, I wasn't learning much. I wasn't learning much at all.
Because we went to we went to rougher schools. I think high school we went to Dr. Phillips, which is a mixed school, predominantly white at the time. So we had more information. Things were a little bit more structured there. Definitely a lot more structured.
Yeah. But I was as a teacher, I was kind of even thinking, because some of the kids were being all of the kids were being pushed to the next grade without knowing much or learning much. And I remember kind of thinking, I was like, life doesn't work like this. You don't just get things by not doing anything. You don't just sit in class all year, not giving much effort, and you just move on. Life doesn't hand you things when you do mediocre work. And I feel like in the public school system, we are teaching the kids, well, give your bare minimum and we'll push you forward. And that's just not how life is.
Yeah, it's like you're getting rewarded for doing nothing.
Exactly.
And the kids literally come and they do nothing. Some of them don't even. I remember, I know things have changed from when I was in public school, but I remember being so shocked when the kids would like leave their pencil. I'm like, don't you need that for your next class? Now I'm realizing that the teachers have to give them pencils. So they don't need any supplies. Really, the teacher has the supplies for them.
So I kid you not, right? When I was teaching, I remember like a student, every time he came into class, he did not have a pencil, right? And I'm giving them packets so they need a pencil to write on their packet, right? And every time I'm giving this kid a pencil, even like I remember one time I gave him a pencil. I was like, you need to hold on to this pencil because I don't have any more. I ran out of pencils, and I wasn't trying to get no. Like it's a whole process to even get pencils. at the school I was working at. Anyway, so the kid comes into class one time. Again, he doesn't have a pencil. And I'm like, well, I'm out of pencils. And so he was just sitting there with the packet. I'm like, okay, well, that's what you got to do, sit there with the packet. And you're just going to have to fail because, it's due today, whatever. Here comes the principal in my class, right? This same day. Here he comes, and he's like, oh, this kid doesn't have a pencil. And I'm like, I've given him pencils many times. He just, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He's just gonna have to sit there. And then he goes somewhere, grabs the pencil and gives it to the kid. And I was just like,
silly.
This is so dumb.
Silly.
I was like,
silly.
I was literally like, this has taught him nothing.
Nothing.
We have
zero.
We're doing the. I was like, you just did this kid a disservice. Now I know why he did that.
Yeah, because of the protocols he was taught.
Yeah, he's the principal. He wants the students to pass because it doesn't. The principal looks bad when the students don't pass.
Yeah.
So he in his mind, I need to give this kid a pencil so that I look good, the grades go up, blah 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 blah. Right. But in my mind, for the kid, I'm like, you've learned nothing. Now you feel like
I'm obligated to give you a pencil. People are going to come and give you what you need
to succeed. And that's not what's going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
In real life, if you don't got a pencil, you don't got a pencil. You're going to sit there and you're going to fail. That's how life works. And if you want a pencil, you get up and you find one.
Exactly. Or you, at the very least, because he's been given pencil before, you hold on to what you have.
At the very least, have one. But man, I was like,
and even so, he could even have asked somebody else for a pencil. And I bet you he didn't.
He didn't because he didn't care.
Exactly.
I was just
they
sit
didn't
there.
even think, okay, let me go ask somebody for a pencil.
Yeah, but I just feel like we were setting them up to fail and to have that mentality that things are just going to be handed to you,
fall into your lap,
and that's not the case.
And I feel like the whole I feel like in on other instances. Like Americans are affected by that as well, but let me not. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, the kids are done a disservice. So it's just very sad just to see, especially Black kids, because I love my Black people.
The schools, they have that entitlement mentality, especially even in the Black schools. I'm not too sure about the white schools, but the Black schools that I taught at and the Black schools that I've been at as a student, the kids do have an entitlement mentality. They think, well, you're supposed to give me the pencil. You're supposed to
Yeah.
It's like, you don't even understand how life works.
I owe you nothing. Do you understand me? I owe you nothing. I've gone to school with such like good kids. Like, from the outside, they look rough. But they're such good people, and they just did not have the opportunity or even the understanding that they could do a lot more with their lives. And I feel like the school system is not helping them to even elevate themselves, even if they had an opportunity. Now maybe this is like a hindrance because they don't feel like they have the education, the mindset, the understanding. So it's just really sad.
It is
in more ways than one. But yeah, so that's my and over every classroom I go into, I always pray.
When I was teaching, that's exactly what I was doing too. I was praying over my class. I still had like really rough students, but I prayed over my class, and I really hope that they received something from me. If they just a little thing, I hope they received. I really do, because I don't think I gave them the best that they could have received, based on me just being a first year teacher and trying to discipline the class, plus learn the content and teach the kids, and it was really difficult. But I really hope that somebody picked up on something, whether if it's even like how I handled them. Maybe if I handle someone in a good way, I hope someone did pick up on that and received it well.
I know some kids learned. They have, because one way I do view kids, or just people in general, I like to, at least now that I'm really dealing with kids, I like to talk to them or give them respect, like kids.
Yeah, same.
So I don't I remember this one kid, I don't remember what grade I was doing. Let's say it's like 4th grade or something like that. and it was one of the rougher schools too. And I remember he had a sharpener, like one of those little manual sharpeners, and he had it in his little desk. And I remember I was subbing for that day, and the teacher just did not have a sharpener. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
And he was the only one I knew of that had a sharpener. And every time I had to use it, I was like, Chris, can I borrow your sharpener? I made sure I asked him for a sharpener, and I didn't make him feel like, oh, because I'm an adult, I can take your sharpener, And I remember him coming up to me, and he was like, oh, you're really good. I really like you, miss, or something like that. And for some reason, I felt like he liked me because of how respectful I was to him and his things. So that's one thing that's definitely made me want to be very respectful to kids.
I always made sure that I said please and thank you to them, to the kids. That's one thing. I was like, I need to make sure I'm like respecting these kids, because I want them to know that they are deserving of respect. But I also want them to know that you should also give respect as well. But sure. I think it was hard for them to understand how to respect their teacher, because I don't know why it was so difficult for them. I think
because they weren't required to, and a lot of the teachers here,
you're right.
Not saying that you shouldn't be friendly with kids, but I think a lot of the teachers are a little too friendly with the kids, where they think that, okay, we're the same, they're the same on the same playing field.
Yeah,
we're not on the same playing field.
That is actually what it is as well, is that they think the students feel they don't have a respect for their teachers because they don't find them to be of in any grade
stature,
or like a teacher is just a teacher. It's just like blank for them. It's not.
It's like you're just the wind. They're just
you're not anyone like.
No one to look up to, no one to put on a pedestal, no one to give any respect to honor.
They don't care.
Like they don't have those.
They don't care.
Yeah.
And I think with the students, they're also trying to be somewhat cool, and they think being cool is being disrespectful to the teacher.
Yeah. Some kids,
some of them, so even that as well. So,
and of course they're going through their adolescent phase, and they're trying to find themselves and trying to understand the world around them and how they fit in it. And there's a lot of things going on with them, so it's easy to kind of be like, okay, let me just give you some grace or whatever.
I gave a lot of students a lot of grace.
Oh yeah,
I give them so much grace,
and you can, and you also I did learn,
they just don't know any better.
Yeah,
and
what I
they're
did
trying
learn,
to find themselves.
Yeah, what I did learn, and it's so funny. It's easy to think that some of these kids are adults, because some of them, like especially if you're doing high school, some of them look older than you. See how young I look, and I'm old enough. No, I'm not old enough to be their moms, but like,
well, you could have. Well,
if I had them as a 16, early teenager, yeah. But what am I trying to say? So what am I trying to say? So so sometimes it's hard to view them as adolescents or kids that don't know any better, because they look old. They look older than you. They look the same age as you, and it's just like, okay,
so it's
then
easy
you have
to get upset.
Yeah, so it's easy to get upset with their behavior as if they are a regular adult in the world.
Yeah, but it's like you have to remember that these kids are X years old, and they just don't. They're 12, 13, 14, whatever, and they just don't understand certain things. And that's one thing I remember when I was teaching, is like I had to keep reminding myself, Candace, they're 12 years old. They're 12 years old. Calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
especially how they act like they know everything. They're, a lot of them, they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing sexually, otherwise, so they're very experienced in certain areas of the adult world. So there's multiple reasons that you would forget that they're very young.
Yeah. So, but the students, that's one thing that I hope in the future that the public school system changes for the better, because right now in Orlando, Florida, I don't believe it's doing them a service. It's doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
And that's just based on the schools I have been at. I believe maybe some schools are doing it a little bit better, teaching the kids, being able to teach the kids better.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the students are even more well behaved, so it's a lot easier to teach the kids.
Yeah, because I've been to schools where the kids are very cooperative.
Actually, there's one school I went to, because I'm not you know, because I'm substitute teaching. I'm not doing the regular teaching right now, but I went to a school and I was talking to the kids and I was seeing the work that they were doing, and they were reading right. They were reading correctly. They were reading well. They were doing their math really fast. They understood. Of course, some students, you know, were iffy in some areas, but you could tell that in this class they were learning. And I was like, wow, this is great. This is a school. I was like, all the other schools are like detention centers.
Oh yeah. You're really just trying to stop this kid from hurting that kid the whole time. And a lot of these kids, especially the rougher areas, a lot of the kids, they get into these little petty arguments and somebody just looks at them funny, and it's like their whole world is disrupted. They're very reactive in their behaviors. So a lot of the times you're trying to like calm them down or whatever. They can't even get to doing their work because you're too, you know, and then once you're trying to, and while you're trying to calm them down, of course they're distracting other kids that were trying to, you know, to learn. I'm just specifically having an image of kids on their laptops and they're supposed to be doing an assignment. So it's like really everything kind of affects everything. But I've been to really good schools where the kids are very orderly. You say pack up your laptop, they know who does this and know who does that.
Yeah, and I was at the same school. It's like I would tell them to be on a certain assignment, and they were all on the assignment. I did not see one kid going off into another game or anything.
Yeah.
And even maybe one kid did, but it wasn't, you could tell they quickly went back when I caught them and I said, hey, get back to work. They got back to work and they finished the assignment. They understood the assignment needed to be finished.
Yeah.
And they did it. You know, so I thought that was really good.
For sure.
But man.
So yeah. There's definitely some good schools out there.
They're good
but
schools.
But for the Black kids and like the rougher neighborhoods, they need to have more structure, and they need to have more requirements for the kids. That they can't just, if they're not doing well, they have to stay back. This isn't a let's move you all along and act like you guys know what you're doing. You don't. So you need to learn it. When you learn it, then move on.
There needs to be some type of repercussion or some type of
yeah, and that's just in an effort for them to have an understanding of things.
Yeah, just so that they know that if you give mediocre work, you get mediocre results.
Yeah.
But in the public school system, they're teaching them you do mediocre work, you get great results, which is going on to next grade. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in real life. But
so
yes, so that is the end.
That's
of
all of
our
our questions.
Yes,
wonderful.
I'm very happy because you're finally on the podcast. We tried this many times before, not many times, twice before, and we just scrapped the episode. But this one I think will make it onto the podcast scene.
Yeah.
But yes, guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe so that you can see the content, guys. I'm doing my best to put out as much content as possible. Please leave in the comments of anything you'd like for me to talk about in the next episode. Leave in the comments if you'd like to see my sister again on the podcast. And again, you can listen to this on wherever podcasts are being listened to. Podcasted, yes. On any podcast platform, you can listen to this. But yeah, so that is it. Thank you for joining us and have a good rest of your day.
Bye.